Hello, Forefront family. Welcome, welcome. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We are in a different studio. Cross your paws. Nothing else happens tonight. Thank you for your patience. This is meet and greet number 2 of the Web3 Creator Residency. So stoked to be hanging out tonight and hearing from our friends Alex, Jack, Ash, and Ishan. So again, we do hope for your patience. We had media files loaded up. We had to switch studios. So now we may have to give the creators a little bit of time to make sure their computers are set up. But let's see who's in the waiting room, and we shall start with one of our amazing finalists. Hold on just a second, my friends. Let's see who's ready. Okay. All right, friends, we are going to welcome in Ash from the waiting room. Here we go. Hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Amazing. So
You are
excited,
look
also super nervous.
I know I get nervous too. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. I'm sorry to like spring this on you. Did you see me typing in all caps? I know that's a little bit off-putting, but I was like, God, I hope she sees this.
No, I feel the energy. I'm matching it. I'm like just as excited and anxious.
Excellent, excellent. Did you have any screen shares or files that you gave to us? Because we don't have them. So hopefully you're ready to
No,
share them on your end. Okay.
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Ash, I want to introduce the amazing Ash to our Forefront family. So Ash has a vision to create a physical space for soup lovers. She has zero experience in making this happen, but is eager to experiment and share the journey with you, Forefront fam. And as a W3CR finalist, you will get the scoop on how you can also use Web3 to fund a physical space, create a movement, and savor the moment. Ash has a background working in NFTs and content creation, and unfortunately, I think Ash just dropped off the call. But just hold on just a second, Forefront family. I hope she'll come back on. We just roll with the punches. Come back to us. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh.
It was such an amazing introduction that you just dropped off. I'm shocked. Shock and awe.
It was so beautiful. Thank you so much for your intro. I will go ahead and share my screen and we can get poppin'. Okay. Do, 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 do.
Ash, you're freezing up, at least
Thank
for
you so much
me.
for your intro.
Let's check the chat room. You're freezing up for me. Are you on the strongest Wi-Fi connection that you have access to?
I
Okay.
am.
Okay. Let's keep going. The stage is yours, my friend.
Cool. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so sharing my screen. Can you see my prezzo? Can y'all see my prezzo?
Yes, looks real good.
Amazing. All right, let me get into it. So I made a slide presentation to share with you the things that I wanted to share with you. So I'm here because I see a future in drinking savory things. I would like to see it normalized the way that boba has taken over the United States, and I think sweet drinks are currently over-indexed in our society, and that there is a growing community of people craving something savory to sip on. Think bone broth, miso soup, shiitake mushroom broth. These are all beverages that not only quench your thirst, but also provide some more nutrients than your typical sweet drink would. I want to build a physical place where people can go and sip broth. I want to build a brand that pushes the culture of drinking savory things. Kind of a wild, ambitious vision, right? And you're probably now wondering who I am and whether I'm qualified. Short answer is maybe. My name is Ash. I'm a artist from Texas, and lately I've been making content on TikTok about my learnings in Web3, crypto, and DAOs. Previously worked at Adobe as a program project manager, and currently I work at Foundation, a Ethereum protocol, most well known for our NFT marketplace. Highly recommend you checking it out if you don't know about it already. I also have experience creating NFT collections. I'm one of the folks behind Seed Society. It's a very novel NFT where the NFT itself evolves on chain as you interact with it, kind of like a plant Tamagotchi. Um, and yeah, super experimental, and I share it with you just to show that a lot of my experience in community building, marketing this project, as well as my experience in program management at Adobe and my Web3 contacts at Foundation, I think are very applicable to this project that I like to pursue with the residency. And so now you're probably wondering why my vision came to be for drinking savory things. And the answer is that I've always been a lover of bone broth. I grew up drinking it. It's been a diet staple. And the reason why I'm pursuing it in this way, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I am a longtime listener of the Tim Ferriss podcast. And this is a question that he asked that I adore. It's, what is something that you believe that most people don't? And over the pandemic, I realized that this answer for me is my love for soup and my belief in drinking savory things, and how I see a future where most people drink savory things, maybe in addition to the sweet drink things that they drink. Tongue twister. But of course, we're a bit away from that from at this moment, and that is a gap to fill. That's one of the challenges that we'll be facing. Um, and another fun fact about me is that I am also a longtime listener of the podcast How I Built This by Guy Raz. And I've noticed that a lot of founders say that if they knew of all the challenges that they would have to face in building their companies, they probably wouldn't have started. And so that's my second challenge. I know nothing about how to make this happen on my own. Socrates said it pretty well here. I know that I know nothing. But the beauty of Web3 is that you're not really alone. And I see this challenge as an opportunity to learn and share the journey with you. I've got a lot of optimism and grit, and I'm excited by what I don't know. And so, if chosen, I'd like my residency to show the behind the scenes of making this happen. This is a really ambitious project, and there's definitely going to be some fun problems ahead, but I want to explore them, build in public, and create a playbook that can inform and enable others to also do the same. That's the Web3 way. So, at a high level, by the end of the residency, I'd like to launch our brand, structure the business, hold a pop-up, establish our menu, and have NFTs ready for minting by the end of it. And in following our journey or building with us, you'll ultimately learn how to fund a physical location with NFTs. I also listed some other things that you could learn with us, like understanding whether you should DAO or what makes a good soup. Yeah, happy to share this deck if you'd like to review further. But this is my game plan for the 4 weeks of the residency. And in the next 4 slides, I'll break down what I'd like to accomplish each week for the project. And this can all fluctuate depending on reality, but I do think it's a good place to start. And another call is that these are all milestones that I like to collaborate with you on if you're interested. So for week 1, we'll be setting the vision, establishing the name of our brand, acquiring the ENS, creating a manifesto of our values and missions, creating a business plan, solidifying our core team, as well as building a site. In week 2, it's going to be logistics focused, so obtaining licenses or permits needed for the business, as well as determining the NFT sales that we'll need to initially finance our business and the benefits associated with owning the NFT that make sense for the business. Also determining whether a DAO structure would make sense for this organization, iterating on broth recipes with our chef, and also starting to scope out store location. In week 3, we'll be focused on building, so hosting a pop-up to test and iterate on the broth recipes that we will be developing, as well as creating the NFT collection and documenting the process. In week 4, we will continue to prepare for our NFT launch, ensuring that the minting experience is seamless and that everything is secure. And yeah, these are the residency deliverables that I am committing to, as well as ways that you can get involved. So I like to host a working session in the Forefront Discord to ideate on weekly milestones. I mentioned this earlier, but we'll also host an IRL pop-up that will happen in Brooklyn, so you can try our soups, broths. I'll also be documenting our journey daily on TikTok, and I'll be sharing updates on our Twitter and the Forefront Discord. Lastly, I'll speak to the 4K that the creators get, and I'd like to invest this in our project to get it off the ground. So getting the ENS, doing R&D for our broth, hosting costs for our pop-up in Brooklyn, obtaining business licenses if they're needed, as well as getting our domain and website. So all in all, I appreciate this opportunity to share this with you. Kind of a lot to take in, but this has been an incredible experience to really articulate my vision and put a plan to make it happen. And I'm really honored to be in the company of my finalist peers here, all super cool projects, and rooting for y'all and excited to see everyone grow within the residency. I will be working on this regardless, and you can find me on Twitter or TikTok at these handles if you'd like to follow along or get in touch. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put it back on this slide to take any questions if y'all have any.
Amazing, Ash. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pause here, hop on over to the chat channel, see if invite our friends who are in the chat to please, any questions, comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. You will also see, if you joined us via computer, a little button that says start live call. If you can just click that, and you can also call in and join us with your question, whether you would like to use camera feed or not. So whatever you're comfortable with. This seems to be a lot to do in 4 weeks. Do you kind of get that sense? I love the ambition. I love the ambition of it. It seems to be one of the applicants described the W3CR as like a friendly pressure cooker. This is definitely like an accelerated pressure cooker sort of timeline.
Yeah, there's a lot to get done in the 4 weeks that I had scoped out. Yeah, some of this can change depending on reality, but I would like to have an NFT as the MVP that can be ready by the end of the residency. Maybe things with location of the physical space can give a little, but I think the NFT deliverable is what I'm mainly hoping to
Cool.
achieve by the end of the 4 weeks.
Cool, cool. Well, on that note, Ash, Nate had a question for you in the chat. He'd love to hear he would love to hear more about what some of the unique aspects that Web3 brings to your project.
This will be a physical space that'll be funded from NFTs. And so by owning the NFT, you'll have some share in this company. I think a lot of the decisions of like what you benefit from owning this NFT are yet to be discovered that I'd like to explore within the residency. Um, yeah, so that aspect of funding a physical space, funding a business with NFTs is really compelling to me. That's the Web3 integration. There can be other ways we can utilize Web3 and NFTs to empower community within this organization. And again, these are all things that I like to explore with y'all.
Cool. And if I may, I wanted to ask one of the questions in the 5 prompts that we asked each creator to address was, what is the creative challenge or riddle or question that kind of keeps you up at night? Something that you're obsessed with and will have pursued for quite a while and will continue to pursue. Is this soup? Is
Yeah,
this like the soup love? This
I
is your
alluded to
creative
this in my
challenge?
presentation. It's like I feel like more people should be drinking savory soups, and some people are, but it's it's not socially accepted yet, I think, as like a thing you drink on the go or like yeah. I
Tell me,
think
I'm curious about like what is your, when did this light come on for you? Was it like someone in your family made you savory soups, but instead of a bowl, they gave you a mug and you're mind blown and you're like, there's just something about this experience.
yeah,
How did this, like, 'cause another question was like, what was the seed of your project? Like the moment of
yeah.
its first appearance?
Yeah. So I grew up drinking savory drinks, and I think in college I would take a mug of like chicken soup to class and drink it like it was coffee. And then I remember a friend being surprised that it wasn't coffee and it was actually soup. And then yeah, I guess like why I want to pursue it is over the pandemic when I was doing a lot of reflecting, listening to a lot of Tim Ferriss podcast episodes, and like hearing that question of like what is it that you believe in that most people don't believe in. I'm like, yeah, I think soup is amazing and that not a lot of people are doing it, and that's kind of my drive as to why I want to pursue it. It's like a vision that I know is uniquely different that I would like to see come to life.
I love it. I love your passion, Ash. Thank you. Thank you, my
Thank you.
friend. Thank you so much for preparing this for us. Thank you for being a part of this W3CR journey. And now we must say goodbye to you. And I hope that you will join us for the rest of the W3CR meet and greet number 2. Hope we'll see you in the chat window. Thank you, friend. Thanks so much, Ash. All right, that was Ash, Forefront Fam, and now let us roll the dice. We are going to call in Ishan. Ishan, my friend, where are you?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello,
I'm
Ishan. How have you
using
been?
my phone.
How have you
So,
been since
okay,
we?
here we go.
Hey, how have you been since we last chatted?
I'm doing quite well. Just moved houses, so
Oh my,
that's been a shift. And now in a new creative space, so it feels wonderful, ready to
excellent.
enter into a new phase.
Beautiful. Well, with that, let's get right to it. I want to introduce Ishan. It's my honor to introduce Ishan to the Forefront family. Ishan Shapiro is a world builder and world bridger whose main interest lies in how collaborative storytelling can shape our future. He studied film directing in Paris before becoming obsessed with future technologies and their impact on our narratives, culture, and evolution of our minds. For several years, Ishan ran a boutique creative studio, Not This Body, which collaborated on short-form viral videos with Jason Silva, Aubrey Marcus, Jonathan Haidt, and Lawrence Lessing, which have received millions of views. In 2012, Ishan founded the open-source collaborative sense-making platform MetaMaps, a tool for scalable social cognition and collective intelligence. 4 years later, he began working with production designer Alex McDowell of the films Minority Report and Fight Club at the USC World Building Institute. Then for several years, he worked closely with Alex in his studio, Experimental Design, as a creative lead, facilitator, and researcher on world building for major feature films and world building projects for real-world companies, communities, and organizations. His main focus for the W3CR is opening up the world of future scouts, an Ed3, think EdTech meets Web3, organization aiming to create a decentralized scouting organization for the 21st century focused on self-directed, peer-to-peer, and lifelong learning. With that, my friend Ishan, I hand the stage to you.
Thank you very much. I mean, just to say, I'm so excited about the W3CR because of the integration of world building and exploring that. It's been something that I felt kind of on my own a little bit at times in for the last decade or so, I guess. And I'm really excited for what this can unlock for communities. So with that, I'm going to share some about the vision for the future of scouting. So let me open up and share my screen here. Here we are. Let me know when this is looking good. One moment. Okay. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, excellent. So, welcome to Future Scouts. We've been exploring for several years this idea of 21st century survival skills for 21st century humans. What does it mean? Who are we becoming? How do we go about it? We're really inspired by the traditional scouting organizations of the past, not inspired at all in certain ways by them. However, on a mimetic level, scouting was really interesting. In 1908, Lord Baden-Powell published this handbook. And that handbook was translated into all these different languages, and it spread all across the world within about a dozen years. There was something to this pattern. And so, fast forward to 2022, membership is definitely declining. There are serious issues with legacy scouting organizations. And we think it's time for an upgrade. So that's why we're building a decentralized scouting organization for 21st century learning. It's interesting because scouting traditionally is actually somewhat decentralized. Every country has their own scouting program, actually, national scouting, which has its own characteristics and qualities adapted to local contexts. Even in the US, the Boy Scouts of America doesn't actually own most of the local assets. They are decentralized amongst local councils. I'll come back to why that's interesting in a bit. But our mission and vision is to promote a self-directed lifelong learning approach. We don't consider age ceilings as it relates to lifelong learning, nor gender limits, nor geographical borders, or cost barriers. Since we've done Future Scouts, it's been a by-donation program for youth. And we'd like to keep it available and accessible to as many youth as possible. So we've designed and built a whole bunch of assets that go along with this in the world building of Future Scouts. We have a Future Scouts code. I'll switch tabs right here just to share a couple of things. So as part of the world building that our initial group, mostly not on Web3, of my collaborators on Future Scouts, we've built out a bunch of these assets that fill in the world of the future of scouting. So we have an oath, we have a motto, we have values, and we have pledges that we've designed. These are still under development. This is not like ratified yet in a 1.0, something that we would mint as an NFT. But we want to do that with a larger community. We've also got a whole idea for, that can explore in some ways these, our version of troops is files. And so we're exploring what it means for local files to be self-governed, self-organized learning communities, and what is the infrastructure that supports them. We have people interested in a variety of different areas. And that's that. And we've also had in development the handbook, our handbook of 21st century survival skills. So this is the sort of core of the pedagogy from what we've built over the last 5 years, doing in-person programs. And so, just to give an example, we're not talking survival skills like necessarily being out in the woods or primitive survival skills, lighting fires. We are talking about metacognition, or learning how to learn, learning environments, tracking that, literacies with different media. How do we make sense together? How do we differentiate signals from noise? Evaluate risks and rewards. And this handbook is designed to, you can dive in anywhere, but you can explore, creative production and the subchapters of that. So we have world building, ideation, research, development. So this is open for everyone to explore. I'll keep moving through, but just to give a sense that we've been really busy building a whole bunch of assets for this. In Future Scouts 1.0, go back to the slideshow. We served over 2,000 youth. What we do with youth is we do world building and rapid prototyping. So we have youth imagine their preferred futures and then create an artifact from that preferred future. We've done tons of workshops in and out of schools. And as I said, it's all been by donation for youth participants. But during the pandemic, we developed our vision for the future of scouting. This includes a mobile app that we have in development, obviously not going to be getting done during the W3CR, the handbook. We're also developing Merit, a native crypto token, and NFT badges that can incentivize both learners and others to learn and earn and share. So I'm going to skip through because I don't want to take up too much time, and you can find all of this online. But we want to open up the Future Scouts because we've been kind of in a small group and close working on it during the pandemic, and now we're like coming out of the chrysalis as Future Scouts has evolved. What ties it together are the offering in the network of learning opportunities as well as service opportunities, because service is something that is really foundational to scouting organizations of the 20th century, and that is one of the good things that we do want to bring forward with that. So we have a network of people who we've worked with over the years running our in-person programs. All of these people basically are not yet on Web3. So we have a big job because we have to design a way to bring youth onto Web3 and the learners on, but also the people, the educators, and the people who can make these offerings in the network. We have a large network, not large. We have some really interested people all around who are waiting for us to open our doors. We still have work to do in that direction, plenty, but we're basically working towards launching a seed Future Scouts file that we can build and world build in the Future Scouts with, basically. And we're thinking about lots of ways that this network can be incentivized. I won't go into the details here, but basically we're developing all these ideas around merit and the different ways that can be utilized in the ecosystem. And so, we're moving towards a merit token offering or community offering, but we're still thinking really carefully about that because we have to have safeguards in place if we're having our organization, our decentralized organization, also working with youth in person, which is our eventual goal. So we're really thinking through all of that carefully. But we have a vision to really start growing in a major way. Also as Web3 matures. So, all that to say, and I'll open this up after this, that I had a tough time thinking about what is it specifically that, to propose to accomplish with W3CR and Future Scouts. And the conclusion that I came to is that actually, what better way than to experience Future Scouts in some way, the experience that we create for you. So the world building and creative production process that we can do. And so I propose that, if I'm selected, basically, I will co-facilitate along with, others, but lead facilitation on a Web3 world build around our preferred future for Web3 in 2033. And we'll go through sort of defining premises about different systems. This would be like each session a week in this world build that would lead us from collaborative ideation to evaluation to actually co-creating artifacts. And then for the retrospective, that being available in the artifacts, both the knowledge generated and also the specific artifacts. Will be on display, and those may be NFTs. But the interesting thing about the world building process is that it's best if you don't necessarily define what exactly the outputs are at the onset, because actually that can close off aspects of the world and what mediums that can be explored. So there's more details on the game plan and schedule for this Web3 world build, imagining the future of Web3 in 2033. But it's something that would benefit Future Scouts a lot to be with visibility. We're looking to get people engaged in all ages of learners engaged in Web3 and in the future of scouting. So I think that about completes what I can share here. I'll leave it there and open it up for any questions.
Amazing. Thank you, Ishan. You're
Hello?
still... Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hey, okay. Hold on just a second. He seems to be...
I do not know where I lost you all there.
Apologies, friends. We're having quite a bit of technical difficulties with this session. Let's see if Ishan comes back. Ishan, if you can hear me, you might have to exit and refresh, maybe close your browser and come back in. Apologies, friends. And I have Rachel's really good question on hold for Ishan to return. All right, let's see, here he is.
Hi there.
Hey.
I am back. I have no idea where you lost me.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. I think I'm hearing a little bit of feedback.
Okay, yes. I'll have to mute my mic when I'm not speaking.
Okay. So Ishan, you got all the way through your presentation. I was kicked off a couple of times, but when I came back on, you were still being recorded. And just when you said, "Okay, I'm going to stop now and take questions," that's when you were kicked off. So thank goodness. And Forefront family, let me know if you observed anything different in the chat. If everyone was able to see the entire presentation, just silence is good. But if you were experienced Ishan being cut off, then please do let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we have 2 questions, Ishan, from the community, 2 really good questions in the chat. From Rachel. Sure. Rachel is curious to know, how has it been talking to the youth about Web3?
Yeah, a lot of them are not necessarily aware of it yet. I see more around like 17, 18-year-olds who are, have a little bit played around, maybe a little bit with crypto, but are having difficulty sort of finding their feet, I guess, in how to go about it. I mean, hey, I am too. We all are. It's a new space. It's a new ecosystem. But I think, I'm really appreciating the work of DreamDAO. It's something that is doing a really great engagement with Gen Z. And I think we're just at the very beginning of it, because I think that's one of the outputs actually that we thought about was like, what would Web3 survival skills be if you had to tell them to a teenager, had to share them with a teenager? And because that's what we're going to need with Future Scouts, because we want to set the youth up with wallets. And we want there's so much to think through in relation to that. We know that there's a lot of folks designing and developing curriculum for onboarding to Web3. So that's not specifically where we're necessarily going to focus, but there's a real need for artifacts that can help the youth even understand what's happening and what it is.
Thank you, Ishan. We have a second question from Ash. Ash is asking, what themes have you seen in youth enablement in Web3?
What themes have I seen in youth? That's a great question. Financial literacy is one theme. Another would be privacy. Data privacy and actually being in control of one's own data. Those 2 come to mind. Top, I think it's not yet clear, but it will emerge, this theme around the future of work and Web3, and what that opens up in terms of just a kind of a new era for youth to discover that they don't have to work in hierarchical organizations in the office. Like that's something that the previous generations have been indoctrinated with so deeply and heavily. And that's something that I think the youth of today have the opportunity to transcend that whole paradigm.
Thank you, Ash and Rachel, for your amazing questions. Any other questions, fam, feel free to drop it in the chat. I had a thought. I had a question about this. So one of the questions in the prompts that we wanted the finalists to address was, what was the seed of your project? What was it? What was the form of its first appearing? And so I love the slide, the very first slide that you showed us, which traced it all the way back to this one little seed of scouting that you said then spread like wildfire. What was it? What do you think? Like, I know this is speculative, but I'm interested. What do you think was behind this massive popularity of this guide and this concept of scouting? Why was it such like a paradigm shift? Why was the entire world so hungry for it?
I mean, I'll give it a shot. There was a set of skills that was applicable to everyone across the world. The guy who created Baden Powell, he came from the military, but he basically stripped out a whole lot of things like from that military aspect into how this would serve people who are going out into the wilderness and exploring in that day and age, enabled by the telegraph and by some mass media technologies that were starting to emerge at the time that were available. And so the usefulness of scouting in, well, it was a meme. It was a meme that caught fire. It caught fire before World War II set in. It was like from just before World War II set in, or World War One, excuse me, set in. It was already all around the world, and it had been adopted as a meme by all these different countries. They made it their own, and they actually then over the time it became also a feeder for the military and for national pride and nationalism overall. And so that's the really interesting turning point. And actually, the interesting fact is that there are no international scouting troops. They're all under nation states. And so that's, there's some major shift in what we see there that I think is possible in this century. But I'm not quite answering the rest of your question. I mean, I think it was a set of skills that was very relevant, and that's yeah. I don't have I'll pause there. I don't have a clear answer at the time.
No,
it's a meme. It's a meme.
Yeah, thank you for giving it a shot, Ishan. Yes, I have other questions. I'm sorry, I'm just insatiably curious, but I won't. I know this is just kind of like me trying to. I won't go there because I know it'd be too much of speculating. But
go for it. Give me it. Give me one more question.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about the Boy Scouts, existing organizations right now being mired in bankruptcy, lawsuits. Apart from that, why do you think there is the decline of organizations like the Boy Scouts when I think the need for community, the need for like actual IR, not that digital community is not, but IRL community still remains quite compelling in this day and age? What would be your sort of hypothesis about why these organizations are declining in relevance?
They're heavy institutions. I think that's a major part of it. I think there's fantastic people within, and I've met some of them who have reached out from the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, who have been Scout leaders and Scout guides going, this is something that is relevant because that organization was not moving as quickly as it needed to, both in terms of, gender inclusion, but also in terms of, many of them are also funded by churches and religious organizations that have also been, they're part and tied in to a much greater infrastructure that is also, facing looming disruption via decentralization. And so I think it's a symptom is that, it's like, and they haven't moved quickly enough there are some STEAM programs and things like that the Boy Scouts are run, but also that thing of like we're international now. Our communities are international, and that whole structure now does not suit our current context. Even the thing of Scout Master, how Scout Master came into being. Schoolmaster was used in the UK. But Scoutmaster, so that was natural in terms of the vernacular of the time for scouting. And it was created there originally in the UK. When it was brought to the States, they didn't call teachers schoolmasters. Yet that Scoutmaster made it in and probably made it very deep within the DNA of that organization, which eventually created festering wounds or tumors that needed to be excised now and may be fatal. Not politely, sorry.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for attempting my questions. And I think the chat has slowed down, so I will go ahead and say goodbye to you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Thanks for hanging in there throughout the technical difficulties. We will say goodbye to you, but we hope you stick around, and we'll see you in the chat, hopefully.
Of course, we'll do, and thank you.
Thanks, Ishan.
Thanks, Ishan.
All right, Forefront family. Now we are going to go to, I was going to go to Alex. I do not see Alex. Let's go ahead and say hello to Jack in the Way. Actually, Alex is in the lobby. Let's actually say hello to Alex. Can we say hello to Alex?
Hello.
Alex, hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Technical difficulties tonight, so I hope you'll be patient with us. We're, it looks like folks are getting randomly ejected, but the timing of Ishan getting ejected was like classic. He got ejected right after he ended his presentation, so hopefully
Yeah, well,
all will be
it's
good.
going great overall. It's so exciting to hear
Okay.
everyone's projects.
Yes, yes, so excited that you are here, my friend. So, why don't I introduce the wonderful Alex to the Forefront family? So, among other identities, Alex Purdy is an artist and music producer stretching beyond her current capabilities. Lately, Alex is spending more time in silence to hear her heart speak. From this place of inner knowing, she is producing her first album titled Pre-Season Training. It is an homage to her first love, basketball, and is about the training you do when no one is watching and the grieving process that comes with a life fully lived. Well, Alex, that was a beautiful, beautiful introduction. My friend, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you
Thank
for
you.
your meet and greet.
Yay! So there are three parts to what I have planned. The first one is interactive. The second one is how I'll explain my residency game plan. And then the third is a song. So please get out a piece of paper, everybody watching, get out a pen, open up your notes app, but whatever you do, don't close the Riverside tab. um, oh, wait a second. While you get out your paper, I'm going to get my timer. So basically, these questions there's 5 to 6 questions, and it's going to be prompts to help you reflect on your most intimate bonds. And I wanted to do this because I feel like in Web3, everything goes so fast. A lot of it's over text, like reading literal text in Discord. And I want to explore ways that we can more slowly grow closer together. So the first question is to write down the name of the person who you see in person the most, whoever comes to mind first. And I'll participate too. I'll write an answer as well. And now, what feelings do they bring up in your body? And I'm going to set a minute timer for us to write down what feelings this person brings up in our body. 30 more seconds. What feelings does this person bring up in your body? Okay, and the next question is, what are your favorite feelings that this person gives you? About 30 more seconds to write down what your favorite feelings are that this person who you see the most gives you. And the next question, and we'll do this as the last question, what are the most challenging feelings that this person brings up in you?
20 more seconds. All right. Thank you, everybody who participated. It feels, at least for me, very different to take a second and step away and tap into emotions that feel good, emotions that don't feel good. And I had this dream the other night about, and in the dream, the message was the most important thing in life is our bonds with each other. And I woke up just feeling so much better because I was going to sleep wondering, like, how am I going to make enough money to move and live and basically when I was applying to this residency, the idea of being granted $4,000 is ridiculously amazing and a life-changing opportunity. And to me, the idea of just making music, as I talked about with Caroline, just didn't feel like it was enough to accommodate what an incredible gift this is, because that allows me to make music, but then what am I giving back to the community? I don't consider me just giving my music the gift back to you guys, So I was asking, what does the Forefront community need? And Noelle was saying it would be great for more people to know about how great Forefront is. So my residency game plan is to interview Forefront community members in public about what's so wonderful about Forefront, what the challenges are, what maybe needs can't be met through Forefront, what needs could be met, how we could meet more in public, and just to connect more on a human level. So each week I would be interviewing 2 to 3 members, and I have a bunch of questions that I've drafted up so far, but I would want it to also be generated by the questions that come in, the conversation that happens, and have just honest talks that aren't about the numbers, aren't about finishing something, aren't about the next big drop that's going to change your life if you mint it in time, so that's how I want to explore the communal sense making project. And then in addition to that, I would also be working on producing out this song for preseason training, and I'll share you the link. Hopefully this works. I'll share my screen. Basically, the challenge I've been experiencing most as a creator is feeling like I have to be making some wild video to post online all the time, where it's like, wow, 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 perform, perform, perform. And instead I want to spend, and I have been spending more time in a chrysalis of delayed gratification, of what's the song that really wants to come forth, that's not about trying to get a music production client or trying to get another job with a brand, but it's like my soul's work, like the kind of stuff when I die, my loved ones will listen to. Maybe no one else will hear it, but so this song is called The Lights. Let's see, share Chrome tab. Let me know if this works. Is this working? View tab. Side. Oh yeah, it seems to be working. I'll try.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Alex Purdy. This song is called The Lights, and it's a song that I'm working on for my first album called Preseason Training. If I am so blessed to be selected an artist in residence with Forefront, I would be spending half of my time publicly interviewing the Forefront community, which I'll talk more about, and half of my time fully producing out this song. So here's where it's at so far. Thank you so much for your time.
passing storm, for a glimpse of shore, to feel how I did before. I've been taking just a break, I'm sure. When I come back to the craft, it'll feel how it had before. I can't wait till the lights come on. I can't wait. I'll be there first at the crack of dawn. Take me on, on, on. Take me on, on, on. I've been waiting for an open door, to buy it in a store. Would I wish I could be more? I've been taking just a break, I'm sure. When I come back to the craft, it'll feel how it had before. I can't wait till the lights come on. I can't wait. I'll be there first at the crack of dawn. Take me on, on, on. Take me on, on, on. I can't wait. I can't wait till the lights come on.
It worked. Thank you. So that's all I've got. That covers all the bases, I think.
That was so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, my friend.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you too for the exercises Rachel was saying in the chat window. It just feels good to actually do that in a Web3 context. The first ever where we were invited to be in touch with our feelings, actively invited. Thank you, my friend. I want to put our attention on the chat window. Friends, I know you're there. Do you have any questions, comments for Alex? Alex is extremely easy to talk to, I promise you. She won't bite. If you have any questions, you can even press the live call in. I got 2 people do that during the meet and greet one, Alex. It was amazing.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Yes. I think you actually covered all the questions. Usually with the previous ones, I've been having to come back and ask, well, address that. But I think you addressed every single one of them.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's such an honor to be a finalist.
No, it's wonderful, wonderful to have you here as part of the community, my friend.
Thanks. Oh, Ash says, where will the interviews be live? So I'd like to do it through Riverside and then put it out on Twitter and the Discord. That's pretty much the plan. And I want to figure out a way where there can be anonymous submissions of questions and answers, because I know sometimes saying this thing didn't work at all, and the wanting to be able to say as much fully the good stuff as the bad stuff, so that we can grow, with all of the truth, kind of thing.
How far along are you with preseason training? Like, where are you on this? Do you have like a sense of like, okay, I need 3 more songs and then I'm close to done?
So I've got about 8 songs so far. And then now I've been realizing, because there's this one song called Divorce that I thought was going to be on my next album, because I have another one that's already like 13 songs, and I realized I have to just do one at a time. And this song Divorce is really, because preseason training is about basketball, obviously, but it's about training for anything you love. But then this song Divorce kind of talks about why I dove so much into basketball because of what was going on in my personal life that was really, really painful. And I wasn't expecting to share that side of the story, but this song was like, you got to do it, you know? So I have 8 songs right now. And because that song has come into this album, I'm opening up to more acoustic songs like The Lights, where then it can be a really message that really means something to me, and then I can produce it out more fully and a broader production. So I'm still exploring kind of how long the whole project's going to be.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Can I one more question? Is it okay? I have another question, and then we'll wait to see if the fan in the chat window has any questions.
Okay.
So what I heard when I was listening to The Light is feeling stuck creatively. Would you say that that's close to sort of the seed of the song? How do you get out of that feeling?
I get offline. That's the first thing, because I'll realize, oh, I'm starting to watch too many interviews of other artists and what they do and looking for advice through them, and taking more time to meditate and listen to what I need is the biggest thing. And then writing from that place, writing the lyrics that don't feel okay to write or too embarrassing to admit, and going from there.
Love it.
Thanks for asking that question.
No, thank you. Thank you for answering it. Well, I think the chat has quieted down. Doesn't look like there's questions there, my friend. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. But just for now, thank you so much again for bringing your story, your beautiful, the beautiful writing exercise, and the song especially, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. See you on the blockchain.
See you on the blockchain. A little bit of an inside joke, not so inside if you've seen Alex's application video. Okay, so we only have one more. Jack, are you still there? Jack in the way. Hello,
Can you hear
how are
me
you, my
okay?
friend? Yes, I can hear you.
Beautiful.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you great. It's perfect. I was just switching from
wonderful.
my phone where I was watching the rest of it to the computer now, and it's like my phone's in black and white and stuff for reasons to do, just give me a more of a colorful experience in real life. But I'm glad to see you in color
Love
here
it.
now. Thanks for having me.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for being part of this experience. So it's my honor to introduce Jack in the Way to the Forefront family. Jack is a digital creator and music maker from Maryland, exploring spirituality and creativity through various mediums, including music production, songwriting, graphic design, podcasting, and live streaming. Jack's mission is to use creativity as a catalyst for connection, engagement, and awakening. His upcoming music project, Did You Forget?, is a multifaceted message to self and others in an attempt to capture the nuance of our spiritual lives through song, and his debut NFT, a self-produced animated music video for the first single, In My Head. He aims to pair this music with a podcast Twitter Space series called Wayspace that will offer a communal sounding board and connection point for creators and creative appreciators. With that, I hand the stage over to you, Jack in the Way.
Thank you so much. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is share my screen so we have that figured out. I think this should be good. All right, it should be blank though, but I will get to the presentation in a minute, the slides I should say. But I want to start first with a little bit of context, which you might be able to consider a seed. You might say that the context is this context I'm about to give is sort of the soil that allowed for the seed to grow. However we want to interpret the metaphor, this is definitely my starting point. I would say that, and I've talked about this a little bit before in various conversations, particularly among finalists and other folks in regard to the residency. But during the pandemic, particularly at the beginning, I really had a I would say in some ways an artistic identity crisis that left me feeling kind of like a bit of an artistic sort of victim, in the sense that I couldn't perform anymore because of the way that the world had to adjust to the pandemic. And at the same time, I just felt like, wow, am I just like going rusty? Am I just feeling uninspired? Am I ever going to get this back? I mean, I don't know. And I think there was a lot of uncertainty that I didn't quite have the language for at the time. And what it led me to was, of course, you know, if we're creators now, we're creators for life. We're all creators at heart, and it's just a matter of figuring out what the ways are that we can embrace that in ourselves, what passions it might be, etc. So all of that said, when I decided, okay, I can't do the things I've been used to doing, my identity is going to change. I actually changed from John Rome, which was my previous artist name, to Jack in the Way, in an attempt to surrender to the necessary moment of, will I accept a new artistic identity, as in a new way of being an artist, really, because that's where identity comes from, and how can I sort of expand that as much as possible, whether it's my name or just the way I think about myself. So what I want to talk about as far as that context, before I get into the slides, is that I do believe that I am facing a crossroads decision. I think I have made my way down a particular path of that in that way, but nevertheless, the crossroads decision necessarily affects if and even how I could bring a gift into the world. And that being said, I think everybody faces this. It's unique to each person based on your condition, based on your, spiritual path, what have you. But as these new tools for community building and creative engagement continue developing, I'm really standing at the edge of what we might consider two different approaches to what has often been considered a creative career, an artist's career, what it means to be an artist. So the first approach, and the approach that I had it as an assumption for a very long time, is one that makes creative idols. So it idolizes the creative career. So you might think of it as fans crowd around shadows of the creative person in the form of Instagram posts, tweets, music videos, extravagant concert performances. And while all of those things can be wonderful experiences, I've enjoyed them. I've had my own shows. I love, the highlights of Web2 experiences. There has always been something missing for me. And maybe this is the seed. What's been missing is that experience that I had when I was 17 years old and I was in the basement of my friend's house 5 minutes from my high school, directly after school, and we were all just writing songs together. And I was so excited to show them what I made in the moment. Like, it's like, all right, everybody, we're going to write our verses for this next 45 minutes to an hour. And and then you just show them, and that's it. It's so raw and so intimate. And I think I got sidetracked along the way thinking, well, if I want to make this into a career, I must idolize myself. I must become an idol, like any of the celebrities that we know of that are also just happen to be recording artists, but they're also celebrities. So there's a second approach that I think I've been embracing from the start of when I started making the music that is going to be on my biggest music project to date, and of course my music video in my head. But the project is called Did You Forget? And Did You Forget it asks the question in so many different contexts, like, did you forget? But it's sort of did you forget why you're here? Did you forget that you're here? Did you forget the things that allow you to make this possible? And so these songs explore that. And so this second approach deconstructs and expands the creative career. Supporters, fans, audience members alike have the opportunity to participate in the creative career. Boundaries realign, walls come down. While boundaries are vital to a healthy creative lifestyle, I believe the new internet offers us a ripe opportunity to expand our definition of a creative career and what it even means to engage with, quote, fans. And I've never really felt like I had fans. I never felt so idolized by people. I've always felt like, certainly people really were fans of my music, but they always felt like friends or supporters or sort of just like intimate appreciators, So whether that be through music, NFTs, community events, podcasts, or behind the scenes open studios, I really, regardless of what anything happens, I just know that I'm aiming to open myself to the power of a communal creative career. This way, I need not to be so concerned with protecting my brand. It's really just about being a good person. And you can we can all bring that sort of awareness and presence to our relationships, whether that be online or in person. And so I really as opposed to separating myself from fans in order to have privacy or what have you, which of course we all deserve privacy as human beings, but I can instead open to the community of creative peers all over the world. So that being said, hopefully you can see my screen. I see it in the Riverside. So I want to get into these slides. So from here, now, okay, so I've gotten a little bit engaged with like collective creation. I've been a part of Song Camp, as I've talked about before. I've been a part of other organizations. I've done some work with Forefront as well. And I've seen the benefits, the amazing learnings that I've gotten over the last year. So I feel like I'm at this point where I have some riddles going on. I have some questions that I need to explore necessarily. So the first is, how can I use and be used by creativity as a catalyst for connection, engagement, and awakening? That's kind of part of the mission that Caroline talked about in my bio earlier. The second question that kind of comes from that, after thinking about that a little bit, is if creativity and spirituality are two aspects of the same process, how can I dance with both as one? How can I be the bridge between the two? How can I just be the two? And the third question is, how can I build, share, and present a project, in this case it's Did You Forget, that honors and internalizes a spiritual understanding, all while expanding both individual and collective creative practice? So, all right, let's see if this goes. There we go. Okay, so here's my game plan, right? And of course, you'll be able to look at it in more detail in a text document later. But there are basically, the way that I want to do this is, rather than it being, I do this stuff week 1, this stuff week 2, this stuff week 3, this stuff week 4, what I'm interested in creating is, rather than sort of a goal-based approach of like, these are the things that I want to like accomplish. Certainly there are things I want to accomplish, but I'm interested in creating a system. So I want to create a 4-week system, of course, during the course of the residency that has 3 parts. So you could think of it as like 3 aspects or 3 dimensions of this system that will take place every week over the course of the 4 weeks. So let's get into it. So the music and artwork, of course, this is sort of the content of what I'm going to be working on. So the music itself, which is 10 to 15 songs, I already have the songs finished or partially finished. So they're in a really great place to start to bring the community in now, where there's a lot of momentum already. And it kind of allows people to come in during the exciting part where I want feedback. Like, tell me what you think about this part. Tell me what you think about this. Should I adjust this? Should I throw this in? So, also with the music, I'm also going to be making cover artwork design for the project. And my ideal would be to create individual pieces of cover artwork for each individual song. As you can see here, these are slides that are going to be from the music video NFT, but you can imagine that this is kind of what the cover art would look like. They'd be different scenes that depict different states within the album. So, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the mini music video for In My Head, which would be my debut NFT 1 of 1. And then, of course, select artworks and songs to be minted as follow-up NFTs. So maybe, each of the different animation slides from the music video also get their own kind of moment to shine as just still pieces of art. And that being said, though, this takes me to, actually, I'll just say one more thing about this. I'm very much so loose in terms of what I'm literally going to do about the NFTs. I feel like that is such an amazing place to not just bring the community in, but I need some guidance here. Like, I want to, there are a lot of people around me that are much more, have much more expertise in these spaces than I do, even though I've been here for some time. So I would say it's like I know enough to know what I don't know at this point. And that's a lot, but I'm excited to explore. So, okay, so I want to get to now the next slide where I talk about sort of, maybe a way that I more intentionally bring the community in, because I've been talking a lot about collective creation. We've, had questions about collective sense making, community sense making, and how does that work, right? So I'm really excited to bring my podcast. It's a podcast talking about creativity, spirituality, my own experiences. It's very much so an intimate experience. I want to bring that waste-based podcast, which I've got, like a dozen episodes out or so by now, but I want to bring it to the Twitter Spaces as sort of public programming. And I want to do that one time per week. So maybe I'm thinking like a Friday afternoon kind of thing. It's like we want it to be more casual. And I'm basically, what I want to do is create a community Q&A experience. So maybe I host. It's always helpful to have a host. But that being said, I think that the more we can blend the lines between who's asking questions and who's answering questions, the better. So while I come with ready to answer questions like an artist would to a Q&A, that's really just one piece of a much larger more fulfilling puzzle. So it really is a conversation meant to offer space to blend creativity and spirituality through speaking, receiving, and informal storytelling. All right. So I'm going to get to the third third dimension of this. So are the open studio live streams. So I have a lot of experience with Twitch. I'm really enjoying Riverside. I love that people can just come up if they want to, or they can stay in the chat. It kind of gives it a nice a feel of kind of you choose your own adventure in terms of the live stream. So I plan to use Twitch and or Riverside, whichever feels like is better. And my aim is to do 2 times per week. So maybe I try one on each and see what people think and kind of adapt to what the community needs as I go. I really want to make things as open and flexible for people as possible so that, you know, we can all decide together, how do you want to watch me? And watch what I do and participate in what I do. So these live streams will both document and open up my creative process to our community, of course. And we brainstorm together as I create graphics, record vocals, make beats, all of it. Like you don't see it where it's like I say, hey, I made this last night. No, you're with me last night as I made it. And you're there to offer me lyric ideas. I can't tell you how many songs in my last project there were where it felt like I was writing with my community and they were just throwing lyric ideas at me and I was just consolidating them. So it was like, was it written by me? Sort of, but not exactly. You know, it was really written by all of us. So I really want to bring that to the residency because that has been some of the most fun experiences that I've had as a creative. All right. So as I kind of alluded to, the community's role, you know, the community just, in my experience, really offers a fresh perspective on the art I create and contributes ideas toward the process, particularly when the intention is there to kind of bring their most understanding, compassionate selves, recognizing that, you know, I'm an artist and in raw form when I'm just making stuff, and that they, you know, the folks who kind of become part of this sort of community creative experience are bringing the part of themselves that I'm doing my best to bring. And so the lines separating the resident me and community you blur as we seek, we ask, we answer questions during the way space, during open studio live streams, during the chats, you know, anything, maybe impromptu events if that seems like something that people are interested in. So in because of that, then the project and this system that I'm talking about creating are both enriched and made possible by community involvement. All right, so that being said, before I show you a little snippet of the music video, I want to say that, you know, at the conclusion of the residency, I know that there's going to be an opportunity and an expectation for us to publish some type of retrospective to reflect on our experiences, maybe to offer answers or other questions to the questions that were our riddles at the beginning of the residency. And so I aim to do that in the form of my first mirror post. I think it'll be nice to have something that's a polished write-up after I've had all these sort of more informal speaking conversations. I think it adds a new medium that kind of sort of ties a bow on the residency experience. So, and I'm actually also going to be part of and utilizing some new tools. There's this one tool called Tribly that I'm really excited because they're just starting their beta and they're very interested in me experimenting with that stuff. So that being said, there may be even more that I can incorporate into this process that I can open up about as far as my process, how I'm even making the decisions on how to do these things, and ask for everyone's thoughts, really, because I just have seen that is, you know, we go so far when we open ourselves to the advice, the ideas, and input of the community around us. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging in there during my presentation. What I want to do now is hopefully I can go to this video. I think you should be able to hear it, but if not, Caroline, maybe just put your hand up if you're not able to hear it. All right. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're able to hear it. So let's see.
Do you have it on a browser somewhere, like on SoundCloud, perhaps?
Yeah, I have it.
Or YouTube?
Yeah, I have it in a Google Drive, so I can go to it right here. All right, there we go. Okay. Did you hear that little start right there?
No.
Okay, let's see if this works. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stop sharing and then I will reshare and make sure I choose that browser. moment.
Make sure you're sharing via tab too.
Got it. All right. Here we go. Okay. Sharing via tab. All right. Yeah, great. All right, everybody. So this is a super short snippet of the music video that I've been talking about. It incorporates a song I produced, lyrics I recorded and wrote, as well as designs that I made in Adobe Illustrator and kind of moved around and animated using Premiere. So here we go.
I was up till 4 again, loving every minute, man. Staring at the ceiling fan, I become the ceiling. Damn, newest phase be feeling good. I can feel the better plan. I am still awakening. I am not the one who ran. Looked across the valley of the land, eyes are wide with wonder at the dance. Catch me out of sinking in the sand. I can feel the pressure that is there.
All right, thank you so much. So that's the snippet for us. And thanks so much, everybody.
Oh, Jack. You're leaving us. You're leaving us on the edge of suspense. You literally gave us like 5 seconds.
Yeah, 20 seconds. Maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
So if you want to see the rest of it, come hang out with me as I create it. Yeah.
Oh, fam, Forefront fam. You see what Jack did to us? I mean, you have to tell him. You're upset. Speak to us, friends. So Jack in the Way, once again. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to jam with you. Let's kick it over to the Forefront fam in the chat window. Do y'all have questions? Riddles? Feel free to come forth. Tap on the live call-in button. I think, Jack, you also hit all the questions. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
I appreciate you.
Ooh. What inspires your design
nice.
aesthetic? You see that one?
Nice. Yeah, nice
My
question,
design
Joanne.
aesthetic. Let's see. Okay, so maybe I'll do a quick share so as I talk about it, you can kind of see it. So I think it's a multitude of things. I think it comes from what I see, of others. Like I pull inspiration from various things. I feel like I've been seeing sort of eyes and mouths kind of disassociated in art since I was a kid, and I've always identified with it. And I would say that it comes from a few different things that were part of I would say sort of like my formative teenage years, early 20s. The first is skateboarding. Skateboarding is a huge love of mine, and I still cruise around on my skateboard. I don't do so many kickflips anymore, but I did. And I think there's sort of an embrace of a little bit of a surreal element in skateboarding culture and art and on the bottom of skateboard decks. So that's a big one, I think, for me. The other sort of like ways of, I guess, expressing oneself in visual art that I'm inspired by is also sort of like Salvador Dali, like painting. And even though this isn't painting, this is, I just did this in Adobe Illustrator. I think there's always something that's touched me a little bit about that style and about an embrace of what might appear uncomfortable, but is actually ultimately cathartic to show yourself. And so like an image like this, where it's like, the metaphor here is like, I'm sinking in quicksand and all I've got here is my music. Please listen to it. And maybe I'll be able to get out of this quicksand. This isn't always how I feel, but I think being able to encapsulate this with the line where I say, please get me out of here, is cathartic. And so a lot of my art, I think, comes from that inspiration. Looks like there's another question. What resistances have you experienced during your creative process of this project so far? Wow. I would say fear. I would say fear is a resistance point. I think Kabuki earlier today said something about fear. If there's fear around, that means the teacher's in the room. Oh my God. I wrote that down on a sticky note right after he said it. And I think, being able to recognize that fear as a teacher has been a challenge for me in this project, because this is a project for me that's the first of its kind in terms of my career, because I've never had sort of a collective experience like I have with Web3. And so because of like what Web3 has had to offer me in terms of tools and just community experiences and new relationships that I've built, it's made me feel like, oh wow, like this is it. Like, this is my moment to share myself, like truly share myself. Not just as like this guy, John Rome, Jack in the Way on Instagram, and he just had a show and he might do a live stream on just Instagram for 10 minutes. This is like, no, this is me, Jack, the kid who like grew up in Maryland, still living in the house I grew up in. Like, I go outside and I skateboard on the same streets I skateboarded when I was 17. And I think that the fear of like showing the world that the most intimate, vulnerable part of myself, which is also the core of my artistry, it can bring up a lot of fear, particularly when I feel burnt out. And so I think burnout, I imagine for a lot of us, creatives, creative appreciators alike, that's another challenge. And I think burnout and fear kind of can sometimes work as those rock in a hard place kind of feeling. And you know, all that to say, I don't want to leave it at just like, oh, this is so hard. But what I do in those moments is I come back to my spiritual practice. And I recognize that my creative practice is only in the service of my spiritual practice, because creativity is really a dimension of spirituality made manifest in this world, like it was for me when I, you know, put this piece of art together. So, yeah, thanks. Great questions.
Those are great questions. Let's pause for a moment to see if any other friends have questions or are inspired to do a live call-in. I always feel intrigued when we jam to dig a little bit more into your spiritual path.
Oh, let's do it. Anytime.
You're like, I'm here, I'm game for that.
Curious about, Dwayne the Jock Ronsang was just going to ask, curious about how you think about spirituality. Wow. I'd like to say that I think less and less about it every day, and I just do it. I just experience it. And so maybe that's can point to your question about how I think about it, maybe how it lives in my mind. I think spirituality at its core for me as a concept, you know, spirituality, the word and what we think of is a concept, but I think it's a pointer. I think it points to a dimension of my experience that is all encompassing, if I'm willing to see that. I think oftentimes, whether we want to call it ego or identity or form identity or what have you, my sort of awareness can get so narrow. And not narrow in a way where I'm focused and I'm in the flow of something like I am actually right now. I can feel it. But more like narrow, like I am sort of addicted to a particular thought pattern. And I see spirituality as opening me as much as possible. So that, and I think this was actually in a snippet that was shared on Twitter earlier, so that the light, that's sort of, coming, you know, from the sun or from God or the ocean, whatever metaphor we want to use. But if my awareness is sort of like this whole, sometimes people talk about eyes as a metaphor for that, the whole, like I want to expand that whole as much as possible so that the light can pour through. And so spirituality is about fine tuning yourself to be able to receive and then pour out of you. So act as a conduit for light. Light is a concept as well. So I'm using concepts to do this, but light, could mean anything. A lot of us think of love. A lot of us might think of God. A lot of us might think of the Tao. A lot of us might think of just emptiness or spaciousness. I actually prefer over emptiness. And so spirituality it's a mystical approach to spirituality, as in mystical as opposed to maybe you might say religious. Not to say that don't have religion in me. And I enjoy ritual, absolutely enjoy ritual, especially the ones I create for myself, which I think is a big part of spirituality. But mystical as opposed to religious in the terms of believing necessarily in a separation between the ripple of the wave and the ocean itself, or me and God. That me at my deepest core, Caroline at her deepest core, Dwayne the Jock Ronson, at your deepest core, that we are all the same God, the same consciousness, the same beingness. The thing we don't have the word for, it's the thing that's always here that we don't have a word for. And I actually have started to use the term waste space. And that's why my podcast is called Waste Space, because whenever I've had experiences of being really in touch with that, I feel like I'm in a different place. Like and it is the weirdest thing, because it's not like my surroundings have objectively changed, but the subjectivity rules it all. And so the subjectivity of our spiritual experience of the world allows us to let that light come through. And I want to do that for all of us. It's like at a certain point, it becomes not about me. All I can do is just kind of go with my intuition and just let it go, and hope that, really have faith that other people will be touched, and that if I talk to you from this place within me, that you feel it within you, and you feel it within your body, you feel it within your brain, you feel it within your mind, and that place that you're in starts to feel expanded and changed, and not to be sappy, but ultimately just filled with love and appreciation. So I know that's a super long answer, and as you can tell, I'm going to really enjoy the open studios and waste space conversations, but thank you so much for that great question.
Hand in glove, Jack and open studio. Yeah. Dwayne the Jock Ronson, thank you for that question, and thank you for taking that on, Jack, in such a beautiful way. Any other questions, fam? Jack is always game.
It's true. I've got my water here. I'm ready.
Yeah, we want to see more of the video. Show us the video.
Oh,
show us the video. Oh, here Nate is reminding me.
POAPs.
So, friends, POAPs. We have the link in the chat. Click on that. And the secret word, I've already forgotten the secret word, Nate. There must be a secret word when we're filling out. Oh, light. Well, hello. Light. Love it. So light will be the secret word. Click on that link, friends, and get your special POAP. And yes, I keep saying it, but there will be a very special surprise for everyone who is able to collect these POAPs. Because this is, W3CR is an experiment in co-creation. And if you are actually showing up with us at all of these sessions and jamming and attending and caring and sending out that energy, you are co-creating this entire experience. And at the end of it, we will have special hat tip and gift for you, my friends. So be sure to click on that link, use the secret word, light. And with that, I think we will close. Jack in the Way, Ishan, Alex, and Ash, thank you so much, friends. Really, really an honor to have all of you as a part of this journey. Thank you for sharing your stories, and we hope that you and the rest of our fam will tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, again, meet and greet number 3, 5 amazing FIRE finalists. You do not want to miss this. Any last words, Jack?
Just thank you, everybody. Do something to take care of yourself tonight. We'll see you soon.
Yes. Amen to that. All right. Take care, friends. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.